Today's webinar essentially is going to be mainly presented by Daniel Rowe from TradeThePlan.com. Now, for some of you that may or may not know Daniel, he was originally a client of ours, started out a few years ago using the BloodHound software and developed a mastery level skill set with the tool. He's now one of our main go-to persons within his organization to build systems and templates for all of our customers in the BloodHound network. And he also works closely with a lot of our educational and trading vendors and partners. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to let Daniel talk to you guys about how to build and develop a profitable methodology within BloodHound. And essentially using BloodHound to build and test your systems so that you guys can look at applying them and deploying them into the live markets, either as a semi-automated trader, fully automated trader, or maybe a combination of both. So just to let you guys know, we do have our entire team in here today. Zach White, Keith Wolf, they're our product support system team. Myself, Sean, I'll be in the back end working to help with the questions. And we will be spending time at the end of the event to answer all the questions that we don't get to during the presentation. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Daniel. I really hope you guys enjoy the webinar. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, so I guess I was muted this whole time. All right, so everyone can hear me and see me okay? See the screen? All right, good deal. Okay, well, thank you for the introduction, Sean. And hello, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to be here and listen to me for an hour. I do believe you'll be quite pleased that you did show up because I'm actually going to be giving away, I'm going to give you access to several different free indicators that a friend of mine has allowed me to give out. These are several different indicators that have been made available on the Big Mike Trading Forum, and Harry, the author, has given me permission to let all of you access them. Okay. Now, what I put together for you guys is a BloodHound template that is using many of these different indicators, several of which are designed as trailing stops and trend finding indicators. What should you see on the screen, John? You should see webinar agenda. All right, I'm just going to be talking for a few minutes and then we'll get right into it. I'm going to kind of give you a broad overview of what we're going to do and cover, and then we'll do a demo and I'll show you some very interesting stuff. So what I put together is this this template with all these several different trend finding conditions, exit strategies, all of these different things as a kind of a base BloodHound template. All right, which you'll be able to use to build your own custom entries with. All right, a lot of people kind of have, a little bit of difficulty determining, well, what should I be doing for my trend finding conditions, or what should I be doing for my exits, or there's so many different choices in the trading world. You have all of these different indicators, all of these different charts and time frames and methods, and if you don't have a systematic way of testing things, it can get a little bit overwhelming. So I put together something for you that will save you a lot of time, days and weeks, and will also be a very efficient way for you to learn how to use BloodHound effectively. I think once you go through all the training videos and you learn how this thing's been put together and how you solve for these different conditions, messing around in BloodHound, doing these testing ideas, building different conditions, it'll just become second nature to you, like it has for me. So this is really the best way in which I could help you guys to really get a handle on BloodHound and developing your own systems. And if you need any help doing that, I also offer custom strategy development and one-on-one training sessions. So take me up on that if you need help. And quickly, before I forget, I want to tell you exactly what I'm going to do. Because if I wait to the end, I know that I'm going to lose time and I'm not going to remember to tell you guys this. But for those of you who engage with me today, I'm going to hold a private workshop this coming Monday. All right, and I'll let all of you guys vote on whether you want to do it at noon or at 4:30 Eastern. It'll last approximately 2 hours, and we're going to build several different entry conditions. So you'll definitely want to be a part of that. We're going to build those conditions in this template, which has all of the different exit strategies and trend finding conditions. All right, so rather than spending 10 or 20 hours building the entire template, the base template's already been built. and then we're just going to add to it the different entry conditions. All right, we'll do that on Monday. Now, when I get going on the material that we're going to cover today, all right, you'll probably want to have a piece of paper and a pen ready, because I'm going to cover a lot of information, and I think a lot of it is going to be very useful for you. All right. Hopefully you'll get a lot out of it. And by the way, this is my first webinar on my own. So if you would do me a huge favor and give me a critique on how I'm presenting and the material that I'm covering, I would really appreciate that. I'd like to gather as much feedback as I possibly can. Okay, so now, before I get right into it, let me just take a moment and tell you just a couple of things about myself briefly. I got hired directly out of college to work for a private equity firm in Ecuador, and my initial position was in portfolio management. I was fortunate because I was actually paid to learn. I was paid to study trading and trading strategies and different systems and whatnot. And all of these different trading courses and softwares were all bought for me to test and to study and to learn. And I did that for about 2.5 years down in Ecuador, and we got started right at the top. I mean, we got started right at the top in 2007, and then, everybody knows what happened in 2008. Everything just fell apart. So it didn't end up very good, but, in the process, I learned more in that 2-year period of time than I think a lot of people learn in their lifetimes, just because of the nature of what, transpired. And I learned trading systems design and implementation intensely, and began developing my own methods and testing my own methods. But I was having to do all these different things by hand, and then working with a couple of other people that would then go behind me and verify my findings. So anyway, it was a very tedious and time-consuming process doing all these different things by hand. But then there are so many methods that you have to test discretionarily, because they can't be programmed. So there's always, that aspect of it. Even in automated strategies, sometimes you can only automate so much. So anyway, I moved back home and then started developing my own stuff. I found BloodHound back in 2013. A friend of mine who works at a hedge fund in New York turned me on to it, because he was actually using it to build the base conditions to do the kind of pseudocode that was needed to then transfer that into the scripting language. So he kind of showed me and said, look, I think this would be perfect for you, because I was in the process of learning how to program, and I didn't want to have to spend the next 3 years of my life learning computer scripting, right? Learning code. So I bought BloodHound, and I never looked back. Looking back on it, it was probably the most pivotal day in my trading career, because what it's allowed me to do is really nothing short of spectacular. It's completely revolutionized the way that I approach the markets, and I would say just working with it for the past year, I can pretty much assure you that I've done more in the past year than a lot of people do in 10 years. Not because of my own personal skill or anything, because of who I am or what I've done, but because BloodHound is that efficient and that much of a useful piece of software. It just allows you to do things, they like to say 10 times faster or more efficiently, but I'd say it's more like 40 or 50 times faster than actually writing in code. So enough about me, enough about that. I want to make this as educational as possible. So it's going to be, more educational than anything. I talk with several traders on a daily basis. I run into a lot of misconceptions about what's really necessary in trading and what's even possible. So I'd like to take this time to discuss some of the things that are required of you if you want to have any hopes of making it in this business. There are probably not a lot of people that speak on stuff like this that I'm going to be sharing, because it's not a marketing gimmick. This is the truth about what's going on in this industry, and it's something I think that needs to be said, and I think you need to understand what's required of you, rather than having some marketer paint you a rosy picture and blow smoke and sunshine and rainbows and teddy bears. So this is a serious business, and you have to treat it like that. So we're going to cover, what does it take to succeed at trading, how you can begin to develop a profitable methodology with BloodHound. I'm going to show you some of the different ways that I approach building different systems, give you some ideas for things to do, and ways, methods of looking at different things and employing different techniques and whatnot. We're going to look at exit strategies, why these are really the deciding factor in whether you're going to end up with a profitable strategy or not. Because, well, I'll get into that, but I think a lot of people tend to overlook their exits. Most of the people that I work with, I program their entries, and then that's it. And then, they go off and do whatever. But the exits are really even more important, I would say. And then we're going to do a demo, and I'm going to show you the template and also this indicator that I've had built, which I think you'll find quite interesting. So what does it take to succeed at this? Well, you have to start treating it like it's a business, for one thing. You need a trading plan. Most traders fail because they don't approach trading like an actual business. All right, let me pause right there and be brutally honest with you for just one moment. And I hope you can respect this. All right, the last thing I want to do is mislead anyone. Trading is incredibly difficult to master. All right, and it can take quite some time before you truly understand just what it's going to take to make it in this business. If you're not willing to put in the time and the hard work that's required, then honestly, the best thing you can do is just stop, or at least trade in simulated mode only. All right, if this is more of a hobby for you, then don't let it be a hobby that costs you your livelihood. I've heard some just horror stories. I've experienced them myself. I've gone through some just horrendous things, but just know that if it is a hobby for you, if you're treating it like a hobby, you're not going to make money at it. All right, and I'm sure there are some of you out there thinking, I can't believe he's saying this. I can't believe he's talking like this right now. But hey, this is the truth. All right, this is a serious business. There's no free lunch, and I just want people to understand that. If I lose some sales because of this, that's fine. Whatever, I can live with that. What I can't live with is lying to people and tricking them into thinking that all they have to do is buy my product and they'll be rich. All right. That being said, if on the other hand you do have what it takes and you really do want to make it in this business and you're willing to make the necessary commitment, then I really want to help you achieve that goal, because it really is achievable. All right, but you have to do the work that's necessary. So what is a trading plan? All right, your plan is a list of strategic responses to events beyond your control. The only thing that you can control is yourself. So a trading strategy is only one small part of your trading plan. The trading plan should govern every single aspect of your trading life. Everything such as your purpose statement, what markets and time frames you'll be trading, what are your reasonable goals, not, I want to make $500 million this year. What's your market, your pre-market routine, your post-market routine? Most importantly, what's your risk and money management strategy? All right, that's the most important thing. And how are you going to deal with all the decisions that have to be made? The psychological aspects. I'd say that's number 2, maybe tied at number 1 with risk management. You have to be prepared to make the necessary decisions that have to be made. You can't just trade without a predefined amount of risk. I know what that's like. That's how people blow their accounts. Then what strategies are you going to run? And hopefully you'll have more than a few. Or if you're a discretionary trader, hopefully you'll have at least a few different rules-based discretionary trade types for different market conditions. And then how will you measure those different market conditions? That's really what it's all about. But that would be beyond the scope of this webinar. Now, the most important thing that gets left out is tracking your performance. All right, you need to keep track of your performance. We make decisions, then we get feedback from how well we're doing what we're doing, and also we get feedback from the results from what we're doing. So that's process feedback, and that's outcome feedback. Brett Steenbarger talks a lot about this. He's got some really excellent books. Brett Steenbarger. Okay, we need to be measuring both. We need to be measuring process feedback and outcome feedback, But the most important of these two, I think, is the process. You have to be measuring whether you're doing what you're doing efficiently or inefficiently. So it's from the metrics that we set our goals and then make improvement. You have to be keeping metrics in the first place if you want to make improvement. It's that simple. If you cannot measure it, you cannot improve it. And that's life. I mean, that's the way it is. If you cannot measure it, you cannot improve it. So we need to take your ordinary trading activity, and it is ordinary activity for most people, for most retail traders. Just sitting there waiting for whatever to happen and then jumping in or jumping out, or maybe you're disciplined and you actually wait for your rules to line up, but then in the afternoon you get undisciplined, you jump in, whatever. So we need to take that ordinary trading activity and we need to turn it into a performance-based activity. All right, and we can do this only through keeping track of our trading statistics. If you're not doing this, then you need to start doing so. This is crucial. You need to turn your ordinary trading into performance-based trading. Making money based on meeting your performance goals is an entirely different thing than making money from just trading. And chances are, if you're just trading, you're probably not making money anyhow. And, a lot of times we can get excited about, hey, I just made $1,000 today, or 100 pips, or, whatever. But did you make that because you followed your rules? Or did you make that because you jumped into some trades and you happened to get lucky out of, the random outcome? See, a lot of us don't really understand that, even though we're lining up probabilities, if you're doing that, hopefully you are, you're working to define an edge, which is what I'll talk about next. But there's still a random outcome to every trade that we take. If you're taking a trade and then, you're making money, you're getting rewarded when you're not following your rules, you're getting rewarded for bad behavior. And then so we become addicted to this, getting the rewards. And if we're getting rewarded from bad behavior, well, then we don't stop the bad behavior as abruptly as we should, because we've actually been rewarded for it a couple of times. Even though we lose money from bad behavior, the reward is much more intense. And I know that sounds a little strange, and probably some people would disagree with me, but the reward can be much more intense than the negative effects of losing money and whatnot. So then we kind of stay in this rut of doing the same thing over and over and over and never getting anywhere because we're not sticking to the rules. All right, so you have to kind of step out of yourself and look at this thing from a perspective of somebody on the outside, because we're all stuck behind our desk. We're our own boss. We don't have anybody measuring our performance and giving us bonuses based on how well we do things. We control how well we do things or how inefficiently we do things. So it's up to you, and it can be difficult. But if you take anything away from here, start measuring your performance. All right. Let's get into this. Let's get into what is defining an edge. All right. An edge is the probability of one thing happening over another. All right. This kind of runs hand in hand with measuring your performance, because it's really hard to define an edge if you're making execution errors all the time. And this is really more for rules-based discretionary trading, but once you begin logging all of your trades and recording the mistakes you're making in execution, you're going to see how ridiculous it is. The errors we make cost us huge. Just do this. Keep track of your trading just for a month and log every time you make an error, and then keep track of how much it's costing you. Not just in monetary capital, but in emotional capital as well. If you're a typical retail trader and you total up your execution errors at the end of the month, you'll see that around 80% of your losses come from execution error. All right, you won't begin to improve this nearly as quickly unless or until you start recording your metrics. And there are at least 5 main errors that need to be logged. All right, write these down. The 5 main errors that need to be logged. Number 1, not entering when you have a signal. Not entering when you have a signal. Number 2, entering and then changing your trade management strategy. How many of us are guilty of that? Number 3, chasing a planned trade. So number one, not entering when you have a signal. Number two, entering and then changing your trade management strategy. Number three, chasing a planned trade. Number four, execution error on your platform. All right, that can be a problem, but not very often. And then number five, and this is the worst, I'm guilty of this sometimes, especially in the afternoon, is impulsive trading. And a lot of people think that, I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but a lot of people think that the afternoons have some kind of, associated negativity with them, that they're traded differently and they don't move as much, and afternoons are range bound and blah, blah, blah. That's not what I found in testing. The fact is, in discretionary trading, we have what's called decision capital, I guess you could call it. We get decision fatigue. So in the morning, our mind is fresh, we're alert. We make so many decisions. All right, let's say we take up to 5 or 6, 7 trades. Most of those trades are winning trades and we're up for the morning. Then by the afternoon, we start getting what's called decision fatigue, and then we start making bad decisions. Not because the markets are, trading differently, but because we're trading differently. All right, so most people that trade over 10 trades a day in a discretionary environment, they end up losing. All right, those who trade less than 10 trades a day, or really less than 5, tend to do much better. Well, especially they lose a lot less, right? I mean, how many of us have gotten on these downward spirals where by the end of the day we've taken 30 trades and 70% of them are losers? Your edge comes mainly from your ability to execute under the conditions you have set up, under the homework that you've studied. And in automated trading, mostly under the methods you're using. In poker, there's a set of hands that you need to win. All right, in trading, the hands are endless. The possibilities are almost infinite. You got time, volume, price, spreads, volatility, oscillators. With BloodHound, defining that edge is so much easier and faster. All right, we can do things in, like I said, much less than a tenth of the time it would take skilled programmers to write these conditions in code. Let's just move along here. I'm kind of spending a little bit too much time on this. So finally, you need to be open about new ideas about the market. And I'll get back to your questions later. Let me just kind of get through some of this first. Not to remain stuck in just one paradigm or stuck using only one method, right? You have to be ever increasing in knowledge of the markets and studying new concepts and techniques and testing new ideas. I know some people would argue with me and say, no, you need to focus on one thing and you need to get good at it. Well, what if that one thing is not good? What if that one thing never even has a chance of making money, and you don't know that until you've actually thoroughly tested it? And a lot of us never get to the point where we know that what we're working with makes money because of our execution errors. So we make so many different errors that we're thinking, oh, well, I just messed up today, so I guess, it's my fault. It has nothing to do with the method I'm using. Well, that's not necessarily the case. There's a lot of methods out there that are being taught that they don't stand a chance of making money. I'd say the majority of them. This is the thing that makes BloodHound such a powerful piece of software. I guarantee you that, like I was saying before, the number of concepts and methods that I've been able to test in the past year, I don't think I would have ever been able to do that because I never would learn how to code. But even for someone that knows how to code, I would have to take them at least a decade. I mean, I've gone through hundreds and hundreds of different strategies using BloodHound. I can build 2 or 3 strategies a day, So what BloodHound has enabled us to do is nothing short of just a new paradigm shift in the way that people can analyze the markets, because we can do all this stuff visually now. Maybe it can seem a little daunting at first to learn a new interface and learn a new way of doing things visually, but once you get the hang of it, you just reach a point to where you can just start flying with this stuff. Another problem that I see quite often is that a lot of people have just one trade set up on a very fast time frame, and those kinds of things usually just never work. For one thing, the cost of doing business, slippage and commission. If you're running a 5-second chart and you're trying to take a trend trade on a 5-second chart and you're trying to get 4 ticks out of it, that's not going to make money, ever. Especially not if you're using market orders. I don't think it would even matter if you use limit orders, but that could never make money, all right? So you have to kind of understand that the markets they're clearly not static. They're ever changing, always. So you can't try to force a strategy on them. You have to be adaptive, and you have to understand that, and you have to use the right strategy for the right conditions. All right, they go through long periods of strong trending activity where there's more liquidity than usual, and then they go into consolidation mode and range bound mode, and sometimes they're barely moving at all, and volatility is super low. Obviously, you don't want to be using a trend trade setup when the market is not trending, right? And you don't want to be trying to apply a breakout strategy when the market's in low volatility. Think of trading strategies, think of them as weapons, all right? In different battlefield conditions, you may want different weapons. Or if you were fighting in the jungles of Vietnam, you would want a machine gun, right? You wouldn't want to have only a knife. And if you were in the mountains of Afghanistan, you wouldn't want a pistol. You'd want a rifle, something like a sniper rifle or something with a scope. Trading is much the same way. You have to adapt the strategy to the market, not try to force a strategy on the market. Now, I've had a lot of different people tell me that, people in this business, retail traders, they don't want to have to tinker with all this stuff, and they don't want to have to do all this work. They just want someone to tell them what to do, to tell them when to press the button, and that's it. And to some extent, unfortunately, I would have to say that, they're right. A lot of people don't want to have to work for money. They wish it simply grew on trees. Yeah, me too. Well, that's exactly the problem, isn't it? I want to change that. I want to see people really succeed at this. I don't want to just blow smoke and paint rosy pictures. I want to see you succeed at this. You're going to have to do the work, and it's not going to be easy, but I want to help you with it. Look, anything in life worth having is hard to get. I'm sure we can all understand this by now. But look, we have this awesome tool that enables those of us who don't know how to program at all to design and test out methods and determine whether the methods we've been working with are even profitable or not. Once you're more easily able to do these things, you'll have a much better understanding of just what all is involved in working out a successful methodology and trading plan. All right, so isolating a specific trade type and develop rules around it. What do I mean by this? I mean, find an entry you would have liked to take and define as many rules around it that as you can think of. Starting with the indicators you're using, those indicators in relation to one another, and then price in relation to those indicators. Define as many rules as you can possibly think of. You'll be surprised what you'll start to take notice of after performing this exercise several times. Of course, some people would call this a kind of curve fitting, and I understand that, but trust me, do it anyway. All right, this is a great way to learn what it takes to start defining different conditions. This is a great way to kind of get started or to build upon what you already have. This exercise will, first of all, help you get familiar with using BloodHound, but more importantly, it will get you thinking of the kinds of flows of logic that will be necessary to create trading systems. I know for me, it was really quite hard to begin defining every single little detail that the computer needs to be able to do something. It's hard for the mind to start thinking in such a micro, step-by-step fashion, but once you get the hang of it, it really becomes almost automatic, and then you'll surprise yourself how fast you can actually program new rules and ideas and test them out. It's really very, very cool. Get ideas from forums and books. There's all kinds of information written on developing trading strategies and testing different conditions and putting different pieces together. So get ideas from Big Mike Trading, stocks and commodities, all sorts of different avenues of education out there, different websites. Just as an example, I began working with cumulative delta and volume profile. I don't know, I guess about 7 or 8 months ago, and I got several different ideas from Big Mike Trading and then built upon those ideas until I came up with something that was actually quite good. So I highly recommend getting ideas and just experimenting. Tinker around with it. Get creative. Look at things in different and new ways. If you're really big into oscillators and whatnot, try to figure out some nuanced approaches to using them and incorporating them into your methods. Now, when you start testing different trend filters and whatnot, you'll see that a lot of the trade filters that you'll be testing will filter out just as many winning trades as losing trades. So you'll have to add some different types of things to kind of experiment and figure out what's going to optimize the performance, and the template I've created here will help you with that big time. But basically you just need to just jump in and just start doing it and really Try to keep things as simple as possible. You know, what did Einstein say? He said, everything should be as simple as possible, but not simpler. And some of the most profitable strategies are also the simplest. If you want to take, the time to learn this thing and really become proficient with it, you'll begin to fully understand what it's going to take to have a good strategy, I assure you, and just what all is possible, and more importantly, what all is not possible. You'll begin to decipher, what can work and what can't. So, moving on to the exits, like I said, this is really the deciding factor. They really are the thing that determines the minimum amount your entry setup will lose and the maximum amount your entry setup could possibly make. Of course, you would like to be starting with a great entry, but if you don't have good exits and trade management rules, you're likely not going to have much of a strategy. We tend to focus on getting that perfect entry and then settling for some mediocre rules for an exit. This was a big issue for me. Ultimately, your exit strategies, it's going to be the deciding factor between a profitable system and an unprofitable one. This is really blindingly obvious in hindsight, but I guess, I was under the impression that if I just focused on great entries, the exits would really just take care of themselves, but that's not the way it works. If you're going for larger moves and lower risk to reward trades, you're going to have a winning percentage of less than 40% most of the time. Sometimes less than 33%. So, how do you want to trade based on your lifestyle and risk appetite? It usually works best to take reasonable profits in the medium area, let's say 1.5 to 3.5 profit factor as the total amount of time in each trade decreases and reduces your market exposure. So how many times have you been in a trade and it went right to the area where you could have taken decent profits, and then it turned around and went right back to the area where you entered the trade? Everybody wants a home run. I want home runs, but we don't need home runs to make good profits in the markets. If you keep going for the home run and your percentage of wins is low, that can really wear you down mentally. The other extreme of that, if you're scalping, which is the first place most people go to after realizing they can't make nearly enough home runs to keep their accounts growing, you're going to need upwards of 75, 80% wins. And every exit has to be within a certain tick amount, and that's just stressful. I think it's more stressful. By the time you figured out that this doesn't work either, most of your account's been eaten up by slippage and commission. So the key is definitely not scalping and taking dozens of little trades per day, all right? I know that seems appealing to many people, but we as retail traders simply cannot compete when we have such high transaction costs. Even if you had very, very low commission, slippage is a huge factor that seems to be almost, completely ignored by most vendors and retail traders. So what do we have to do? We have to focus on high probability trades in which you have a confluence of different trading methods coming together for a great entry, and go for medium-sized targets. Right? You may only get 3 to 10 of those trades per week or less in each market you're trading, but you'll have a much better chance of success this way when it comes to day trading. So you need to put some effort into developing your exit conditions, and that's what I've done for you. So let's have a look at what we've got here. So the chart on the left, we're just looking at, I got the TF on the right and the CL on the left. Let's make it TF and TF. So let me open this thing up and show you what I've built here. It's quite a massive template. All right, so I have all of these different. First of all, let me do this. I'm going to show you the indicators that are in them. Okay, so like I was saying, Harry, the guy from these Fat Tails on Big Mike Trading, has allowed me to post all of these different indicators that he's made, and he really just does incredible work. Just an excellent programmer. So we have all of these different indicators for you to choose from, freely available. We have the chandelier stop. This is a very interesting indicator. We have the derivative oscillator, which was developed by Constance Brown. This is the double smooth stochastics. And this is an interesting one. This is the high-low activator. You can choose from any different moving average you could possibly think of. It's using, it's using the lows on the way up, and it's using the highs on the way down. So this is a pretty interesting indicator. These are hourly pivots. This is a universal Keltner channel, so you can use any different kind of moving average for the center line. You can use a different one for the bands. You can use a different period for the bands, and you can smooth them. This is a really, really useful tool here. And then these are the session pivots. So we've got not only the daily pivots, but also the weekly pivots and the monthly pivots. And he's done just an incredible amount of work in this indicator. I saw somebody that stole actually a lot of his indicators and they started a business as a NinjaTrader partner, and I think Ray from NinjaTrader actually shut them down, but they were actually selling all of Harry's indicators, and this was one of them. I think they were selling this for like $400, but it's got all of these different things looking at the average range and the average noise, so the average amount of distance that the price moves from the open initially in one direction or the other. I know that may not make sense to you the way I explained it, but this is a very, very interesting indicator. So that would be the session pivots. And this is the volume weighted average price of the session. I'm going to get into this in great detail one day. I've built several different strategies using this indicator, and this is one of the most useful indicators that I've ever used right here. And I can't wait to do a presentation on some of the things that I've created with this. Actually, we'll get into that on Monday with all of you guys that invest with me today. So let's go on here. This is a super trend. You can use any different moving average for this. And I think there's something like 26 different averages you can choose from, but it's basically an ATR trailing stop. This is a very famous indicator. I've seen people sell this for $700, which I think is ridiculous, but you have it here for free. And this is the TSI. This is made famous by, who was it? I think it was Blau. No, it wasn't Blau, was it? Yeah, I think it was Blau. The True Strength Index. And then the Donchian channel. So I'll get into this in a moment. This is what Harry's done with this. With the Donchian channel, he's developed a trend finding technique using the Donchian channel, and I've got that programmed into BloodHound. I'll show you that in a moment. So those are the different indicators that you have for free download. I want to be a resource for you guys. There's a lot of people that charge a lot of money for stuff in this industry, and I think that's why I love the guys at BloodHound so much, is because this tool is really, in my opinion, it's priceless. It's worth a lot more than $500, but they make it available for a low cost because they want to help people, and that's really what I want to do. There's so many people that get taken advantage of, and it hurts to see that. But I want to be a resource to you guys. If you need any help, please don't hesitate to ask, and I want to provide you with some good tools that will actually help you. So this is one of those tools. What I've done here is I've developed all of these different exit strategies. Now, I wouldn't necessarily call these exit strategies, but these are different exit conditions. And what I've done is I've put all of them together, all of these different exit conditions. I've put all of them together in this exits all template here. So what we can do is we could combine, what do I have here? I have MACD Divergence, which actually took me quite a while to figure out how to do this, but then once I figured it out, I can replicate it, in 20 minutes now. So if you want to customize this for any different oscillator that you might be using, I can do that for you pretty quickly, usually within half an hour or 45 minutes. So any of you that want to customize this to your own oscillators, just let me know and I'll do that for you. Now we have all of the different indicators: trailing stop, the 3-bar trailing stop, the high-low activator, and then this indicator. All right. Let me take a moment and show you this now. So I had this developed. Let me get into that here. What I've done is I've created several different chart templates and also, as you can see at the top, market analyzer templates. So let me load the trend bands trend template here. All right, so I actually had Harry develop this. This is essentially an indicator that's looking at, for the first average, any average you could possibly think of, and then the second average is actually an average of the first. All right, so what it comes with default is the ADX VMA. This is one of the most useful indicators that I've worked with so far, is the ADX VMA, and it's a really great indicator for filtering out chop, and I'll show you that in a moment. But what it does is, when we go into a period of chop, the ADX VMA will go sideways, as you can see on the top. So the ADX VMA is right here on the top, and it goes sideways when we enter chop. All right, and then the other average is an average of the first average. All right, so you could choose any single, we got 26 or 7 of them here. Choose any average you want, and then do an average of that average, which makes for some really interesting conditions. Now, what I've done in the other template that I'll show you in a moment is I've created an entry strategy based on this, because I want to show you that this is actually useful. Some people would look at moving averages and say, what are you talking about? It's a moving average. How useful could that be? But this one, I assure you, is quite useful. What we can do, let me just show you some of the things you could do. So for instance, I'll use a Butterworth. Let me just change it to like an 8. And then what could I use? We could use anything. I'll use the video moving average, the VMA. We'll set that to 30. And you can see some of the different things that you can do. So this is using the Butterworth set to an 8, and it really follows the price very tightly. And then we have a video moving average of the Butterworth, and the video tends to go sideways in periods of consolidation. So you can see right here it's going up, and then as it pulls back, then it starts to go sideways. So you could come up with, you could spend days coming up with something that you like, and something that could actually be quite useful. So for instance, if you got long here using this filter, where would you have gotten out? You wouldn't have gotten out until right up here, right? And then we have the paint bars, and we also have the arrows on it. So the arrows mark when it closes above both of them, and then when it closes below both of them. So you could really come up with all sorts of different conditions here. Volume histograms. Frank, that's coming. It's in the process of being built right now. It's not going to be ready. Hopefully it'll be ready before my next presentation next Thursday with NinjaTrader. I'm just kind of doing one thing at a time. I wanted to have all of these different things ready, but of course I could have marketed them, and I'm sure a lot of you would have participated in that, but I wouldn't have felt right about it because it's not quite ready. And I want to be sure that what I offer is quality. I don't want to tarnish my reputation and lose any kind of credibility, or I want to supply good stuff, and stuff that's going to help you guys. So let me just show some of the other things. Let's just put on a different template. We have 26 different templates here. So let me show, for the exits, we'll show the MACD divergence here. On the right, you can see I have the entry. All right, I'll show you that in a moment, but this is actually an interesting little entry. It didn't take very many conditions to put together, and that's usually the best. And even for today, just look at some of the signals on the TF. Obviously, right at the open, you got chopped out, but then you got some good shorts, and then a good long before the close there. So this on the left, we're looking at MACD divergence. What is divergence? I'm sure all of you know, but if you don't, divergence is when price is moving higher, making higher highs, and then the oscillator is moving lower. If you're wondering why I don't have my default set up, my hard drive actually burned out on me yesterday, so I spent all day getting my computer fixed, and all day today actually reloading programs. Murphy's Law, So anyhow, making higher highs in the price and then making lower highs in the oscillator. So I've come up with a method of solving for divergence between price and any oscillator. and it's very, very good. It's very, very efficient. It catches every single divergence signal. You can see right here, it was actually divergence at the time of the signal, at the time of the bar right there, and then it wasn't until it broke below this prior low that, you know, the divergence was actually run through. So this is something I like to use in conjunction with an exit strategy. So let's say you were using, I don't know, let's just add one of these on here. All of the free indicators come up as ANA, A-N-A. This is Harry's call sign here. So let's use the super smoother, I'm sorry, the super trend. So if you were using this in conjunction with the MACD divergence exit, then you would have the super trend as a fail-safe exit, and then the MACD divergence would get you out at exceptionally well-placed exits, you know, for let's say every third trade or something like that. So it actually does help out quite a bit. So let's say you were short from right here, you would have gotten out right here as opposed to up in here. So you know how many ticks would that have saved you? Let's just see. So it would have saved you about 14 ticks. All right, so we have, you know, I could spend all day going through this stuff, but I've already been talking for about what, almost an hour. Let's load another one. Let's see, this is an interesting one here. The Donchian swings. This is one I like to use for a lot of, I wouldn't necessarily call them swing strategies, but a couple of the strategies that I built that take maybe only 2 trades a day, something like that. This is one of the conditions that I use for the trend finding condition. So what it's using a Donchian channel and the swings indicator. So this swings indicator comes with BloodHound. It's called SI swings, and you actually have the ability of choosing multiple swings. So you could look at 7 or 8 or 10 different swings, and it plots 4 different lines as opposed to just 2. So you can do very complex price action conditions with this indicator, and then you can set the sensitivity to, you know, whatever you want. NinjaTrader's swing indicator back paints all the way to the pivot. All right, this one shows you the bar on which it actually gets put in. Okay, so if we're breaking above it, if we're closing above it, then we're making new highs, right? And then if we're closing below it here, then we're making new lows. All right, so we're using the Donchian channel for the trend as well. It's basically whichever one happens first. So if the Donchian channel turns up first, or we break into new swing highs or new swing lows, whichever one happens first. And if they're kind of competing, then it goes into you know, long and short mode, just like it does here. All right, I actually have another template I was going to try to have ready for today, but it's not quite ready yet. It looks for triangles. So it would pick this up as a triangle pattern, and then you would trade the breakout right here. All right, so that's a very good little template I put together. I'll hopefully have that ready by Thursday. Next Thursday. So that's this logic template here. You can see it looks a little bit complex. It is kind of complex, but very, very excellent trend finding condition here. So we have all of these different exits, 3-bar trailing. Let me show you this real quick, and then we'll kind of wrap it up, and I'll pass it back to Sean in a moment. Let me show you this real fast. So this is a 3-bar trailing stop. It's similar to something that Larry Williams developed a long time ago. Harry kind of made his own, you know, put his own spin on it, and it's essentially, well, it's kind of a Keltner channel, but not. It's using 2 different conditions. So it uses the Keltner channel condition, or if the, well, I'm not going to try to explain it because that would only confuse you, but you can see when it breaks out of the lower band, then it gives the short signal. When it breaks out of the upper band, then it gives the long signal. So this would be kind of a, you know, a trailing stop or a fail-safe stop if you were using, let's say you had, you know, your profit target set to a predefined number of ticks, Or what I like to do is use different trailing stops in conjunction with different divergence strategies and also different volume conditions, all right, together with a very large profit target for a set number of ticks. So there's all these different things that you can combine. Now let me just show you this real fast. So this would be, we have the trends exits, which is the base template, and then I gave you this one. So this is the trends exits test. Now this is the one that you'll be building your own entry conditions in, and if you need help with that, I'd be happy to help you. Just, let me know. What I did is I used the ADX VMA, so I used the trend bands that I've had developed here. I've set it to a period of 8 and an ADX and then a 21 T3. And what I was looking for was, well, it's this exactly. So when we get a pullback, the Tilson breaks up above the ADX VMA and then the market goes sideways. Well, when it breaks up above the Tilson, I'm looking for that breakout right there. Okay, and that's what's being marked. So that's what this entry signal is here. So you can see I put all of the different trend finding conditions, and then all you have to do is define your entries and plug in whichever condition you want. And I'll have, I think altogether there's 19 different videos. I haven't loaded them all up. I just got the website done, or I just had somebody finish the website for me. When you engage with me and you go through with this, then it will take you to a members area where you'll have all of these different videos and explanatory documents and whatnot to guide you through the process of using this template and customizing your own strategies. So let's just test this real fast. I'm curious what it would do. I mean, we're only looking back 5 days here, so it's whatever the results are. Maybe they're negative, but whatever they are, these aren't accurate results because I haven't even programmed into this. I just got NinjaTrader loaded back on today, so I haven't added in the commissions. We're not looking at slippage. We're just looking at this entry with, well, I guess we'll just use the MACD divergence here, and then we'll use a set number of ticks for the profit target and stop loss. So let's just turn that on. We're going to run a back test so you get a chance to see what that's like, and I'll show you the results. But just keep in mind these are only results from 5 days back, so it's not like you could base any kind of judgment on this one way or the other. But let's just give it a second. I mean, I would like to run a longer back test, but we'd be here a little bit too long. So let's just right click, strategy performance, and then historical real time. Well, it's only 5 days like I'm saying though. So 420, 1.79. Of course, when you add in commission and slippage, this would go way down. But for something so simple, for sure, we could filter out some of these bad signals. I just wanted to kind of give you guys a base understanding of how you would add your entries to this. So what you get here now is in the NinjaTrader 7, when you run the installer, you're going to go into the templates folder in the BloodHound, and you'll see that it created this master folder here. Always leave this one alone. This is your master template. Okay, so you've always got a backup because you're going to be, you're going to be going in here and you're going to be changing stuff around. And I'd rather you do that mostly with this test template. And then as you're, defining your own different conditions, then you'll name it whatever you want to name it. And you can just keep on, anytime you create any new strategy, you're going to use this template as the base. Right? That's what I wanted to design for you guys, so that you can have this template, and anytime you're designing anything new, you're going to be building that in this template. 20 plus hours of work are already done for you, and then you just add to it. All right, now what I've also got here are the market analyzer templates. So this is the workspace. So when you run this, you open the workspace. Obviously you have to install these other indicators first from the free download section. And I'll send you guys a video on that. Let me just find that real quick so I can walk you through the process here real fast. and then I'll let Sean get on here and wrap this thing up. Actually, before you'll go to the free membership access. You'll sign up, you'll make an account, and then you'll go to the free downloads and download all of those free indicators. Watch that video, it'll guide you through the process, and then you'll be able to open the workspace. And I'll put the link in for the special offer we're doing here in a moment. So now, let me put the PowerPoint back up, and then I'm going to pass it back to Sean, and he's going to wrap this up for you guys. So thank you so much for your attention. I hope this was beneficial. I hope you guys got a lot out of it. I really enjoyed giving it and talking to you guys and sharing this information with you. We obviously do have a recording, and actually, before I pass it back to Sean, let me just take a moment. There's a lot of questions that have come in here. Let me just, what about a profit? Actually, I'm going to answer these afterwards because I'm going to let Sean go over the deal that we're doing now, and then I'll come back and I'll stay as long as you guys want. I'll answer all of your questions, but I want to let Sean get back on here, and I don't want to have to take up any more of his time. So let's do this. And Sean, I'm going to pass it back to you, buddy, and take it away.
Okay, thanks, Daniel. I just want to quickly check. Can you guys hear my voice? And I know you guys can still see Daniel's template, so I just wanted to make sure. Perfect. What Daniel's done today, he's actually spent a lot of time working with, as he's mentioned before, programmers in the industry. I've actually had the privilege as a trader to actually work alongside one of the programmers that has actually built a lot of the indicators that he's using. The nice thing about what Daniel's done is it's been a collaboration of his experience, you know, his tenacity to continue to push through things. You know, I remember having conversations with Daniel, and there were some days where, you know, it was like we were testing systems and we were looking at different strategies, and we just didn't know why things just weren't showing the profits. And then as a result of trial and error and constant efforts towards finding and tweaking and doing elaborate testing, you know, that's where coming into the actual professional realm of being a good trader and being patient and seeing you know how you know going through the motions and making sure that you really do test and look at, you know, viable options before you start risking your capital. Right now, what Daniel's done today is he's basically combined a complete package for you guys. And really what it's done is, because Daniel's built this inside of BloodHound, it is the Trade the Plan BloodHound package. Now, as he'd mentioned and he'd shown you previously, it comes with TTP trend bands indicator that he explained earlier in the demo. It also comes with the 3 templates, the master template, the exits, and the test templates, so you guys have the ability to have a backup with the ones that you can use that he's built, as well as ones you can build upon yourselves. And essentially what he's also able to do is he's also built you 26 chart templates that are used with all of the different templates in BloodHound that he's basically created. And obviously we don't have enough time in an hour webinar to really go into detail and, you know, really teach the inner mechanics of what it's doing and how it's best used and so forth. But that's what Daniel's here for, right? That's why he's offered his ability to go in and do workshops periodically and send you guys the videos, because ultimately Daniel's built this to help you guys become better traders by giving you guys a serious leg up at a serious and affordable cost, right? The market analyzer templates and the custom built workspaces are just an added bonus towards what he's done. But most importantly, the video training series that he's putting together, and he's basically put together, and you're going to be sending it out to each and every one of you guys. I really think that you guys can benefit to this, even if you guys are using you know, your own strategies and stuff. Just being able to factor in some of the stuff that Daniel's built in these templates, you know, could make or break your system to being, you know, maybe what it's looking for, right? If you guys are looking for certain criteria for trend or factoring out exit systems and being able to look at different factors that, you know, maybe Daniel's stuff is really going to help you guys accomplish, then ultimately that's in and of its own is going to provide you guys with, you know, a more of an edge. I mean, if anything. And if we were to put a value towards this, honestly, the time that Daniel spent, I know he spent months on this. You know, the indicators that are in here, even though they're free, you know, just the value added into what it is, I mean, easily could be sold for over $1,000. Now, Daniel on his site sells the package for $395, which is already at a ridiculous discount at 67% off. But because we do a webinar and we like to give promotions on the webinars, I mean, that's not a new concept, but we do like to be able to save you guys money when we do put these big group events. You know, what we'll do for you guys is he'll give you, you know, 75% off, which brings the package down to $237. And I mean, literally, that's the cost of, you know, a 20-tick trade on crude with 2 contracts, right? That's not a huge amount of money to be able to spend for serious resources that are going to bring you guys to a seriously different level in your trading. And the reason I'm just saying that is because I am a trader and I've seen Daniel's work, and I work with Daniel on building my templates. And you know, it's really nice to be able to see all the different variations and the work that goes into this stuff for you guys. Now, as an added bonus, obviously it's here on the screen, but you will receive all of those free indicators: the super trend stop, the high-low activator, and the regression channel, and the 3-bar stop, and the Donkin channels and such, because they are being used in all of the templates that he's built for you. And you know, some of it you may or may not use, and some of it you may find superior value towards enhancing your systems or strategies. But to end with this on a special note, it does require you to use BloodHound Ultimate. All right, all of these systems and the templates, they are built using the advanced edition, right? The BloodHound Ultimate Edition. So if you don't already own BloodHound, you can contact me, obviously sharkindicators.com, and we can get you set up using BloodHound so that you can take advantage of these templates and what he's built for you guys. Maybe what I should be doing is I should ask, because I know there's a lot of current customers of BloodHound in here, who in here is a BloodHound owner? If you could just put a Y in the chat box if you own the BloodHound Ultimate. I just really want to kind of gauge how many of you guys, and if all of you guys can respond, I would really like to see how many are BloodHound owners. Okay, perfect. And if you're not using the Ultimate, I would recommend taking advantage of upgrading to the Ultimate so there are no restrictions. And if you do take advantage of this offer, you can fully utilize the enhanced templates that he's built for you. Now that I've seen that, who in here is not a BloodHound Ultimate owner? I need to know who in here is. Just type an N in here if you guys are not currently BloodHound owners. Okay, perfect. So let me just end by saying this. BloodHound is the lowest cost software in the business that allows traders to build systems, test them, and run them either discretionarily or semi-automated or fully automated. Hands down, it's one of the reasons why we have constant partners and ninja trader companies contacting us on a day-by-day basis, looking to partner with us, running their trade rooms with it. And maybe if I could ask the audience in here, for all of you guys in here that own BloodHound Ultimate, if you think that it has enhanced your trading, and it has given you a leg up, and it has improved your edge, or if it has saved you money and time, just type a Y in the chat box so that you can express to all the users that don't own BloodHound how much it's helping them. Okay, we've got I think we've got over 200 users in here, and everybody's typing Y, right? So for those of you that are on the fence, or you're not sure if BloodHound is essentially going to be the best thing for you, I can assure you this: the amount of money that it would cost you to hire a programmer or hire a strategy developer to do all this stuff without using BloodHound, there is no comparison, hands down. And essentially what we want to do is we want to not only just provide you with BloodHound, because obviously it's required to be able to utilize some of the things that we bring to you in these webinars, but if you're going to use some of the resources such as Daniel has provided for you today, if I know anybody in this industry, Daniel will give you tons and tons of stuff for free, because that's just what Daniel does. He likes to give. He likes to provide. He likes to be able to give you his time and his resources, because he doesn't want to have anybody go through some of the things that he's experienced as a trader, right? So I'll end with this. If you're looking to take advantage of this as a BloodHound owner, if Daniel, you could put the link for them to purchase in the chat box right now so that I can make it apparent for them. Also, if you guys are looking to take advantage of getting your hands on BloodHound, you'll definitely want to contact us. We can get you set up with an Ultimate Edition. The nice thing is that if you're not in the BloodHound family of being an owner yet, if you do purchase BloodHound so that you can take advantage of Daniel's offer here, Every Friday we hold workshops. Obviously, all the people that are currently in here that own BloodHound, I've been to those workshops. They have the ability to interact in a closed environment so that you can basically learn how to use the different effects of BloodHound and building different systems. But what Daniel's done is he's removed a lot of that subjectivity by making things very objective. He's defined trend templates. He's given you the ability to see qualified signals, right? And he's basically simplified you having to go in and build all this stuff on your own. And one of the biggest things we hear coming in our support ticket systems and on the phone with traders and new people looking at our software is, what if I don't have the time to go in and build all this stuff? What if I don't have the experience to come in and create all these different types of variations? Well, it's done for you now. BloodHound has been there for you, and so will Daniel with all of these packages. So I hope you guys enjoyed the webinar. What I'm going to do, Daniel, is maybe if you want to go to the next page, so what we can do is we can essentially give them our contact information. And there we go. We want to thank you guys. Obviously, for those of you guys that have traded all day and you want to spend some time with family and friends, enjoy your evening. If you would like to purchase the templates that Daniel has made available at a serious discount, 75% off, then just click on the link in the chat box that he's provided. If you would like to get your hands on BloodHound, if you don't currently own BloodHound, then contact me, support@sharkindicators.com, or just pick up the phone and call. We're here to answer your questions. And we'll leave it at that. I think what we'll do is we'll turn it over to questions. Daniel, if you want to skim through them quickly and see which ones maybe you could address. And what I'll do is I'll let Keith and Zach and the team here answer all the ones that are related to BloodHound and the ones that we can handle. So thanks for your guys' attendance, and we'll go to the questions.
Okay, great. Thanks, Sean. All right, so let's see. Bill, what is happening Monday? So for all of those who engage with me today with a special offer, we're going to hold a private webinar on Monday. Okay, and if all of you that go through and invest into this template, go ahead and send me an email. Yeah, send me an email and tell me whether you'd like it to be at noon Eastern time or at 4:30. All right, and I'll just kind of cater to the majority. Let's see. Yeah, so we're going to spend about 2 hours on Monday, and we're going to go over some different entry signals. I'm going to show you guys how to really get into the template. Also, there's going to be plenty of videos on that, but I want to spend some time with you one-on-one in case anybody has any questions. Show you some different entry triggers, some different conditions that I use that I think will be helpful for you. So that's what we're going to do on Monday. Now, how do we download the BB Squeeze signal? So you're going to go to the website here, go to free membership access, and create an account, just your name and your email address, and a username and a password. Okay, and then you create the account, and then you click on free downloads, and then just download whichever one you want. And if it asks you to sign in again, just sign in, and you can download it that way. And let me know if anybody has any problem with that, and if you do, just send me an email, and then I'll just there shouldn't be a problem, but if there is a problem, just email me, and then I'll email you the indicator. Now, where is the link to buy? So the link to buy is right here at the top, the TTP strategy template. So if you click on that and you scroll down to the bottom, okay, and there's the video on how to install the other indicators. You click on buy, and if you need a custom installation, you can just add that for $50, and I'll get on your computer and I'll spend some time with you. If we need to take more than half an hour or 45 minutes, we can do that, but I'll spend a little time with you if you need that. Now, just fill your name out or just go directly to PayPal, and you can use a credit card or your PayPal account. Okay, so it's a pretty straightforward process. If anybody needs help, just let me know. Now, what does the #1 custom indicator mean? #1 custom indicator. I'm not sure where you see that at. one custom indicator. Jim, I'm not sure what you mean. Will the link to purchase be active tomorrow? Yeah, it'll be active tomorrow. Okay. Let's see. 430 be preferable for you. Okay. Range bars. Yes, you can use range bars. Kenneth, can we tweak a template on Monday? Most definitely. That's exactly what we're going to do, Bill, is we're going to tweak the templates. How do you get that TSI indicator? You just go to the free downloads. If you want the TSI, this is actually one of my favorite ones, really. William Blau is a pretty smart guy. Where is it? There it is right there, the TSI, True Strength Index. Yeah, William Blau, there he is. So just download it there. Does the installation include BloodHound installation? No, Bob, it doesn't. So you would have to, if you don't already own BloodHound, you would have to, make that investment before you could run this template, obviously. So if the guys want to put that link in the window, in case you need to have a look at that. Now, if any of you are using, any other of our partners' indicators, I've done extensive work for a lot of the different partners, BloodHound partners, for a lot of different trading room educators, different software, trading software vendors and whatnot. So if you have any of your own custom stuff, you can obviously add that into this template as well. So that's why, I kind of made you this base package that anytime you're going to create something new, create it on this template, okay? And this is just really going to help you big time, okay? That's why I made it. So if you want to create something new, just put it on this, and then you've got your base trend finding conditions and exit conditions. Ron, how much is BloodHound? The ultimate version, which is what you need, I believe is $4.95. Which one is the squeeze indicator? I think the squeeze indicator is derivative oscillator. That might... I didn't get that one up. The squeeze one. Okay, well, whoever wants it, just send me an email and I'll get that up later. I must have left that one out. Now, the Bollinger Squeeze indicator, right? Oh, yeah, well, exactly. So we'll do that one on Monday as well. I forgot about that. I was going to actually build a couple of conditions, but we just really didn't have time. So we'll do another webinar and we'll do that. For all of you guys that attended and you want that strategy, I talked about creating a Bollinger Squeeze breakout. Send me an email and I'm going to send that out to you here this evening, because I did promise that, and I don't want you to feel like you missed out on anything. I'll send that out here in a little while. So whoever wants that strategy and that indicator, just go ahead and send me an email and I'll get that out to you. Let's see, what else do we have here? Let me go through some of the questions from earlier. Range bars, yes. Will it include the volume template? No, not this time, Zach. I'm doing some updates to that template as well, and it's just not quite ready yet. I'm having to have a couple of indicators built first before I finish that. Yeah, Ron, no, BloodHound Ultimate is $4.95, and it runs on NinjaTrader. So you'll have to first download NinjaTrader, and then download the BloodHound Ultimate, and then you can use what I've put together here. Eager to develop learning, have BloodHound. A good deal, PK. This will help you big time. When will optimizing be added? You can optimize the profit target and the stop loss, Peter. As far as optimizing indicator settings, well, for one thing, I'm not really much of a believer in that. It tends to just kind of over curve fit, so you end up with a really great backtest, but then it's nothing that you can run forward and make money with, and it's just unfortunately something a lot of people do, and then end up risking money that shouldn't have been risked in the first place. So you got to be careful when you're over optimizing. That's a big problem. Sean, you back on?
Maybe,
you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, maybe what I'll do is I'll wrap it up, guys. We're going to just go through a couple of these. I had a question in here. It says, is there time to buy BloodHound and then this package and learn how to use this before Monday's meeting? I just got off the phone. We had a couple people just call in and upgraded the software from the lower versions to the ultimate to purchase. And we just had one guy just come in and purchase BloodHound. So if you're looking to purchase BloodHound right now, absolutely you can do that. And the nice thing is you got the weekend. You've got Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to come in and get familiar. We've got some training videos that are going to essentially get you off the ground running for the basics. And then what'll happen when Daniel comes in and shows you the templates, he's going to walk you through all the stuff that he's going to do in his workshops. But also, too, next Friday, you'll also have a workshop with us inside of Shark Indicators. So, Ted, if that answers your question, I think fully you'll be equipped. Yeah, if you want to just go to our website, and maybe, Daniel, I'm just going to steal the screen again.
50.